You either love them or you hate them. Now, hopefully, my goal here is to get you to at least like them, or to get them to like you. Now, I personally have always loved cats. I'm more introverted, so I always felt more connected to them than dogs, who gave me a little bit more of anxious energy. I've also grew up with cats. I've had cats my entire life, and right now I have 6 cats. So I'm very involved in their personality, and I've had all types. The playful ones, the ones who always hide, and then the ones who, puke on the floor every 5 seconds. So I've had them all. First thing we're going to talk about is patience. The number one thing to get a cat to like you is that you have to be patient. Now, in a Chewy article in 2017, written by Maura McAndrews, she states that you have to let a cat sniff you before you pet it. Now, if you're with an unfamiliar cat, first things first, you shouldn't approach it aggressively. You should get down to their level and let them approach you. Once they approach you, as Maura says, you should let them sniff you first. Now, if they sniff you and you think that they feel comfortable with you, they'll usually rub their head against your hand, and that's an okay for you to pet them, but only an okay for you to pet them on the head, on the back, or on the tail, right where the tail meets the butt. Now, this is why reason why their butts stick up when you do that is because they have pheromones in that spot, and so when you're scratching it, it's spreading their scent. So the number one rule of thumb is to never touch their stomach. Even if they show you their stomach, it's a trap. It's a test. If you touch their stomach after they showed it to you, you've shown them that they cannot trust you because you have touched a spot which is very vulnerable to them. Now, I'll be demonstrating to you what that would look like. I'll be using this stuffed animal cat because none of my cats like to be picked up, and I respect their boundaries, as I'll teach you later on in the speech. Now, this cat is showing me her belly. I go in to reach for it. I'm going to give it a little scratch. She goes like this, pooh, attacks me. Now my hand is stuck with her claws, and she's scratching at my hand. It's a trap. Not fun for either of us. Now the cat is anxious, and my hand is bleeding. Not fun. So make sure that you only pet them on their head and their top areas. Only pet a cat on the stomach if you are 100% comfortable with the cat and you know that they're not going to attack. The second thing we're going to be talking about is observing them. Now, in an article called 10 Science-Based Facts on How to Get a Cat to Like You, written by Michael Delgado in 2018, he states that we must be keen observers of our animals. Now, this means checking your cat's behavior and accumulating their household for their personality. So if they're jumping, you should get them shelves. If they're scratching things up, get a scratching post. Now, you must do this because in order for a cat to feel safe, they must feel safe in their surroundings. Number one rule of thumb is to always have a hiding spot for your cat to go to in case they get overstimulated, which they tend to do a lot. Now, another way to be a keen observer of your pet is to understand their basic behaviors and their cues. If a cat is happy, they'll be purring and they'll blink at you slowly. If you want to show your love back, you can also blink at them slowly. And just because a cat is not cuddling with you all the time does not mean it doesn't love you. If it is always in a room with you, but not close to you, they still love you. It just means they don't want to be touched. If a cat is aggressive all the time, even with behavioral therapy, it usually means that they are mentally unstable and that they need to be put on medication. Cat is rarely mean just to be mean. It means that they are suffering and they need to be put on medication. Now, a way that you can stop aggressiveness, or at least prevent it, is to never declaw your cat. Number one rule of thumb, it will change their entire personality. It literally de-knuckles them, and now you've taken away their number one warning sign. So instead of scratching you, they will bite you if they're uncomfortable, and a bite is much more dangerous than a scratch. The last thing we'll be talking about on how to get a cat to like you is to make sure that you're picking out the right cat. Now, you kind of have to go through a dating process. Make sure that the cat reflects your personality. If you're gone all the time, you should not get a cat who needs social. And if you are home all the time and there's no other animals, don't get a cat who is extremely social and needs other animals there. Also, do not get an abused cat unless you know how to handle an abused cat. You should not put an abused cat in an overstimulated home with multiple dogs. They're scared, they're anxious, they have already been through so much. Now, you have to go through this dating process because if you pick out a cat that's not right for you, of course they're not going to like you. Again, it's a two-way relationship with a cat. So if you're not giving to them, they're not going to give to you because they respect themselves. Now, with all of these points put together, the respecting boundaries, understanding consent, and the nonverbal communication can help you in ways other than just being friends with a cat. Understanding consent is a basic rule of thumb for humans that more of us should learn, and understanding nonverbal communication can help in any aspect of life. So, with these demonstrations, I hope that whether or not you hate or love cats, you will at least like them.